What's going on, San Francisco 49ers faithful? Today we're talking about the biggest question surrounding the San Francisco 49ers heading into the 2026 NFL Draft. And that is, what will they actually do in the first round? Let's get it. Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman. And in today's show, we're going to be breaking down what the Niners' strategy, what their philosophy will be heading into round one of the NFL draft. And before we get started, faithful, just want to say apologies about the voice, the stuffiness. Weather here in the South is a bit crazy right now. You don't know whether it's going to be 45 degrees outside or 85 degrees. So you guys just bear with me in all of this congestion. I've heard a lot of debate recently around what the Niners are going to do with the 27th overall pick. I've heard projections, predictions, mock drafts all over the place from the Niners taking a weapon position like a tight end in the first round, maybe even a wide receiver. And I really think with everything that's transpired, especially what's going on with Trent Williams right now, the fact that we truly need some sort of help opposite Nick Bosa, not to mention the fact that Nick's coming back from a season-ending injury of an ACL tear, and we're not 100% sure what Nick at this stage in his career will look like. Again, everybody wants to assume that Nick's going to be just fine, and I'm one of those believers. I feel like Nick Bosa is going to come back and be normal Nick Bosa that we're accustomed to seeing him play at a high level. But at some point, he's going to begin slowing down, and at some point, you have to get something on the opposite side of him with some consistency to help generate a pass rush. Not to mention that we're going in with a completely new defensive coordinator and a different philosophy. While I think it will look a lot like what we're used to with the wide nine scheme, Raheem Morris is going to put his own blends, twists, flavors to how we run this defense. So do you go edge rusher or do you finally address the offensive line? And based on everything, based on all the factors, and I know the Niners have recently made some moves for some offensive linemen, but these guys are more swing tackles, guys who really, from a scheme fit perspective, are a little bit different than what we're accustomed to. So I think all signs point to an obvious strategy, and that's the Niners addressing the offensive line. This team has to address the line of scrimmage. That's where games are won and where they're lost. That's where championships are won. If you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they're a prime example of a team that doesn't have the world's greatest offensive scheme. They're just effective at running the ball, and they have a quarterback who has common sense and didn't put the ball in harm's way. They played great defense, controlled both lines of scrimmage, won a Super Bowl. I think that's going to be the same formula going into next season. A lot of folks feel like it was a down year, per se, last year. And I understand where folks come from. I guess you could say the bigger teams whom you're accustomed to seeing really did not stand out last year. What I believe is, guys, maybe these big-time standout teams are finally showing themselves to be human. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs weren't going to stay on top of the world forever. The Philadelphia Eagles, while they have a fantastic team, it's hard to win back-to-back championships. It truly is. It's hard to play at that super high elite level for years, and the Kansas City Chiefs were a dynasty. I think that they've come down to earth, and that's where they're going to stay. I really feel like you're going to see a very similar NFL to last year. I think in the NFC, you're going to have the situation where it's the Rams and the Seahawks 1A, 1A, 1B right there at the top. The Niners are definitely in the mix. Chicago, if the Philadelphia Eagles can figure out how to play offense again, I think they'll be right in there. I think we'll see a resurgence from Detroit. You always have Green Bay in there, and then you'll have that team that surprises you. Maybe it might be a Dallas or a Carolina, maybe even an Atlanta Falcons that steps in there. It really steps up in that NFC South division. But I don't think we can go another season without seriously addressing the offensive line. And with the giant elephant that's in the room, this situation with Trent Williams, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of questions. I know that his $10 million option was just declined. And I'm going to be honest with you. I fully expect the 49ers to work something out with Trent, okay? But there is always that chance that a team could come calling with a trade package, a team that feels that they are a left tackle away, a blind spot protector away from winning a Super Bowl. You take a look at a team like the New England Patriots and some of the things that transpired in that game, and they may be a franchise that feels, hey, we're a left tackle and a wide receiver away from getting over the hump and winning a Super Bowl. And so is that a team that could possibly look into putting together a compensation package that takes Trent off the 49ers books and gives them some good draft capital? Never say never, especially in this league. We cannot continue to allow Trent Williams to treat us like a cell phone tap to pay, okay? I respect Trent. I understand Trent. If I'm at this age and this stage of career, I'm trying to get paid as well. But the guy's been to 2 Super Bowls, could never really get over the hump. And for all intents and purposes, based on what happens in the draft, are the Niners a guaranteed lock at competing for a Super Bowl? I think that's yet to be seen. Of course, there's always that if factor of if the San Francisco 49ers can stay healthy. Absolutely. I just don't know with these eyeballs what that looks like. A completely healthy 49ers team. They were really well positioned in 2023 to make that happen. And you saw where we were overtime in a Super Bowl. So for anything remotely like that, absolutely, the 49ers can be in the dance. They can be in that big game. However, there's a lot of question marks, not just about being healthy and staying healthy. So regardless of what happens, I think round 1, your first pick, you address this offensive line. I really feel like they should focus on going ahead and addressing the tackle position, or at least get somebody in here that can perhaps play left guard next to Trent for a bit, or at least learn under Trent to be able to step into that position in the future. I think you can't go another draft without making the offensive line a focus, because it's starting to show up. It's starting to rear its ugly head with this situation. You protect your quarterback. You have a long-term stability. You future-proof the roster. No matter if for whatever reason Brock were to miss a couple of games due to injury, you have Mac Jones that can come in and step in there as well. And a lot of folks forget that Mac Jones was playing hobbled as well because he was also injured related to getting hit. So the offensive line is something that I think you're going to have to address, and address very early on. So if I feel like the 49ers are going to address tackle first, who are the offensive tackle prospects to watch? Let's get some names that the 49ers could realistically target in the first round. I've seen a lot of mocks recently talk about Caleb Lomu from Utah. Strong physical presence, good run blocker, really fits well in the Shanahan scheme. He's got some raw technique things to work on. What player coming out is a surefire lock to master everything in the first place, right? But as far as pass protection, I think there's going to be some development that's needed. But again, you bring this guy in knowing that you have Trent Williams to be shown the way, so to speak. I think this is going to be a developmental pick with some really big upside. A guy I like a lot, Kadyn Proctor out of Alabama. Elite size and strength. I know there's been some questions about his weight. I feel a lot of times when a player comes in to the NFL, they really can, especially sitting behind Trent or working with Trent, work to develop that NFL body. You get into a real NFL weight room. You don't worry about slimming down and sizing down to meet these perfect 40-yard dash, 10-yard split numbers, you actually get into the weight room and develop that body, I think it would be really good. He's got a high ceiling. I know I'm biased and people get on to me, but he's SEC tested, that he's playing against elite level competition, especially in the trenches, week in and week out with the tough SEC schedule. There were a few negatives on him, consistency issues. I think he's still got some technique that he's fundamentally developing. But again, the upside is undeniable. He could be absolutely dominant. That would be a pick that would not hurt my feelings whatsoever. And the fact that we're just addressing it, the fact that the line would actually be addressed would make me feel a lot better. We've taken too many. I mean, look what we did with Ricky Pearsall, man. We could have looked at offensive line, and I still like Ricky. I'm not mad about Ricky's pick. I still think if healthy, Ricky can be a really good receiver. But it's just that what if O-line had already been addressed. You take a look at a guy like Blake Miller out of Clemson. Technically sound, reliable pass protector. He's got a very good football IQ. The only thing is he's not super elite athletically. He may not have really that superstar upside. A lot of folks feel, I've seen commentary about, it's not a needle moving move, if that makes sense. But still, it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all to see a Blake Miller out of Clemson drafted in that spot. Only thing is that he primarily plays on the right side. You keep Trent, that does not matter. You can work him in there, and he could be the future. I've seen a lot about Spencer Fano out of Utah. Versatile across the line, strong fundamentals, tough physical player. He may not have that, I guess you could say, jump out on paper, elite tackle ceiling, but he could project positively in the long term. He also primarily plays on the right side, but you're getting a guy who fits your system and already has the experience, good experience on the right side, and you can work with that, okay? And this is something that really stands out to me, even though a guy like Blake Miller, Spencer Fano, these guys play on the right side of the line, because you have a guy like Trent. Maybe you even address left guard in the later rounds, okay? Giving almost, and I know folks hate to say it, especially with how the way Kyle Shanahan does our wide receivers by giving them a red shirt year. But if you address the left guard position, maybe in the second round or one of those fourth round picks that the Niners have, you might be able to redshirt a guy and have them ready to step in a year and a half to be the heir apparent to Trent Williams. And this is why I feel you must go with the O-line. And I get it, edge rusher is tempting, but we cannot go another season without seriously investing in the offensive line. You have to protect the quarterback. The run game yards per carry were way down last year. You have to be able to establish the run game. This is how you're going to have a long-term, sustainable success. If you are going to beat the Seattle Seahawks, you're going to have to start competing with them on that line of scrimmage. You're going to have to be able to slow their run game down. You're going to have to be able to run the ball, consistently churning out decent yards per carry. We can't go another year with Brock missing half the season and having even a limping around Mac Jones to back him up. I think not only do you focus about going offensive line with your first pick, I think one of your other picks have to be utilized to go ahead and address that left guard position. I would load up with at least 2 or 3 offensive linemen. And maybe you get an edge. Maybe you go first round tackle, second round edge. Right now you have no third round pick due to the trade for Osa. So you utilize one of those fourth round picks on a guard prospect, and you keep it moving like that, because it can't be year after year Trent going, you know what, I think I want to play another season, rework my deal. I want to be the highest paid left tackle in football. I want to be clear. Trent is still that guy. If you want to say he's taken a half step back, a half of a step, that's absolutely fine. Trent Williams right now is probably still the best left tackle in football, even at his age and even with whatever step back you want to label him with taking back. So really, I want to talk about what comes next. I plan on doing the next show. I actually just completed my first official NFL mock draft, and I'm very happy about the results and plan on sharing that in the next show. But tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you feel like it's way past overdue for the San Francisco 49ers to address the offensive line? Do you feel that I've bumped my head and that the San Francisco 49ers should immediately address edge to get Nick Bosa some help? I know I've received a lot of comments in the past about drafting the best player available, regardless of position, and I do absolutely like that strategy. I just think this year, for long-term success and this whole situation that keeps rearing its ugly head with Trent, I think you go ahead and you address offensive line early and you address it often. This is a big moment for the 49ers. They can either keep patching this offensive line or they can finally invest the right way. And I think this is the year that they can do this and address it and be in a really good position for 27 and 28. If you enjoyed the show today, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel immensely. Drop a comment. Again, would you pick offensive tackle, edge rusher, or something else in round one? As always, take care, be blessed, and go Niners.